Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about former President Donald Trump's pressure campaign against another governor, this one, Doug Ducey of Arizona. And it's just been revealed there is a phone call that was made November 30th. So, in the whole embroiled time post election, in which Trump pressures, cajoles. We have different descriptions of this phone call, which was not recorded. But there are people around Ducey who heard it and who have told the press under conditions of anonymity that it was a pressure campaign from Trump to somehow, very much like the call to Brad Raffensperger in Georgia, just find a certain number of votes, this under 10,000. So we don't know yet whether Ducey, and apparently as of recently, Ducey had not been interviewed yet by special counsel Jack Smith, but possibly others were. And we do know that this is part of a coordinated campaign in Arizona. For example, we know that, and this was part of the testimony in the January 6th committee, Rudy Giuliani called up Rusty Bowers and tried to pressure him into changing votes, made all these allegations of fraud, and Bowers said, well, what do you got? And of course, Giuliani had nothing. Okay, but now we have president to governor. Now, it's an interesting dynamic. Ducey has been, like many Republicans, pretty good with Trump, pretty beholden, but he's drawn the line at certain times, and it's gone somewhat hot and cold. But since getting this call in November of 2020, he's been very tight-lipped. He just hasn't wanted to speak about it at all. So he certainly isn't trying to use it to dime out, as the law enforcement folks say, Trump. And so we don't know the details except as they're pieced together by a couple people who have spoken anonymously and were on the other side. Now, Smith will be able to do a better job here, including by talking with Ducey, which I expect he will do, and I'm surprised he hasn't done already, and those other folks whom he apparently has spoken to. It won't rise to the level of detail and sort of, inflammatory episode that Georgia has, just because nothing like an audio tape. So whether it will actually figure in the government's burgeoning case about false electors and trying to defraud both people in Arizona, that as in Georgia, and people of the United States of the rightful winner of the election, is not clear. But it certainly figures in the whole kind of campaign pointing increasingly to Trump personally. That's the sort of headline that I should have given up top. Is this is one that through testimony, Trump's fingerprints are on personally. So we've got Michigan, we've got Georgia, we've now got Arizona, where not just Giuliani and probably at Trump's direction, but Trump himself. Oh, and we have Nevada, where Trump is apparently had direct conversations with an elector. So you really have increasing personal involvement that you're being able to show from Trump as part of an overall scheme. And it does, by the way, look increasingly like that. It's not, get up and call this guy and that guy. It's all orchestrated. The quarterback of the gang that couldn't shoot straight, I know that's a mixed metaphor, is Rudy Giuliani, but Trump is really involved. Now, after making the call to Ducey, Trump dispatches his loyal vice president, Mike Pence, to follow up with Ducey and to basically keep the pressure turned on, or so it seems. Those were the instructions. Interestingly, Pence has stated now in public, oh no, it wasn't. I was, calling in just to check how things were going. This was a time where lawsuits are breaking out everywhere. I'm just trying to keep track. But Pence, it seems, it was not falling through in the full force and pressure campaign that Trump had ordered, and B, now is suffering from a loss of memory about the details of that episode. So I think that's an important part of this Ducey chapter. It gives a strong indication of where Pence is going to be. I think there's uh, certainly he will give the details in a kind of milquetoast way with maybe a few lapses of memory of the actual strong arm campaign, hammerlock campaign on him from Trump himself on especially the morning of the 6th, the days leading up. But otherwise, I think for one, he's very concerned about liability and if he potentially salutes and like Giuliani and then goes into battle, there's a potential for him to be a co-conspirator. So I wasn't surprised that he would have a bit of a foggy memory here, and I think it tells us how valuable Pence is going to be for Smith and how valuable he's not going to be. But Smith by now has assembled just storehouses of ammunition, and now Giuliani is knocking on his door, and Meadows has already been there. The head of the elections operations, Moran, is knocking on his door after his deputy Brown already testified. It's all a dynamic that so favors Smith, and it took a while to get there with people afraid of Trump. But now the holdouts are rushing in to say, can I make a deal too? And how do I minimize my own criminal exposure? Because it's clear that Smith is really playing for keeps. So we've got a whole new pressure campaign, goes direct from Trump to the governor of Arizona, who, by the way, doesn't do Trump's bidding, at which point Trump savages him. He just does as he's supposed to do, and Trump tweets out, or is he social mediating out then? I don't quite recall, saying, why is he rushing to give this to a Democrat, and why is he being so disloyal to the Republican Party? That may have figured in Ducey's decision. He was considered a very strong Senate candidate, but he now folds up his tent, doesn't run, is working in some foundation somewhere. Everything Trump touches dies. So we know of the campaign, we know it through witnesses who were there. Apparently, when the phone rang on November 30th, it rang with the tune "Hail to the Chief," which I gather Ducey would have put in there to sort of show off or snap to whenever the president called him. So we really know it was he, and then people listened in, right? So pressure campaign for sure. Maybe not full detail, so he won't be able to, really figure in the trial to the same degree. Pence with a little bit of fogginess, and all of it dovetailing with in Arizona alone what we've already learned about Giuliani. So chalk up Arizona with Michigan and Georgia to places that you can really implicate Trump in a case of, say, false electors, or possibly the whole crazy scheme to get Pence to, well, it would mainly be false electors. That's what Smith seems to be building. And when he says, I need 10,000 votes, what he means is I need to change these so then we would flip the electors falsely, fraudulently to him. So that's very much in the crosshairs now of a case that Smith seems to be building fairly rapidly. Some speculation he's building something a lot bigger. My best guess is it is more circumscribed. We'll see. But either way, I think it's been reported in addition, Trump's folks are battening down the hatches and assuming charges are coming on January 6th itself, and especially the false electors. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.